Minnesota extends its lead to 10.
Hey, Josh, will there be more drama between you and Des Bryant this season?
No.
Josh, then why did you just post this image of Des Bryant with sticks of butter for hands? You saying that Des can't catch anymore?
Nah.
Seems like you think you're better than Des Bryant.
I would never say that, sir.
Oh, Josh, you literally just posted an image that says, I am better than Des Bryant. I'm a tornado of coverage. I've out-sprinted cheetahs. Oh, Des, where are you? You're choking on my dust. You wish you were as cool, as handsome, as fast.
What started as a passion has grown into an enterprise. That's why I switched to the Spark Cash Card from Capital One. Now I'm earning unlimited 2% cash back on every purchase I make. Everything. What's in your wallet?
I can taste it. I can taste it. Taste it.
For 100 years, heritage and innovation have made Gillette the #1 shave in America. Now get Gillette quality at lower prices every day. Brought to you by 1,200 workers in Boston. We're proud of giving you our best. Gillette, the best a man can get.
Believe it or not, I'm walking on air. I never thought I could feel so free. Flying away on a wing.
State Farm knows it's more than a truck, so why not give it the protection it deserves?
We took marinated all-white meat chicken and married it with our cheesy quesadilla to create the perfect union. Introducing Taco Bell's new crispy chicken quesadilla. Get it with all your favorites like a crunchy taco, Doritos Locos taco, and an ice-cold medium drink for just $5. Together at last, but only for a limited time. The new $5 crispy chicken quesadilla box, only at Taco Bell.
Tell me how to find the mutant underground. What happens after?
The Gifted, all new tomorrow on Fox.
Today's game is sponsored by Taco Bell's new crispy chicken quesadilla, a deliciously unexpected pairing.
2010 Minnesota, nearly an entire quarter left to play here in Minneapolis. 11 plays, Keenum 4 of 5 on it. 2 of those receptions, one in spectacular fashion by Laquan Treadwell. Still plenty of football left in this one. Trevor Davis waits on the kick. 5 yards out of his own end zone, will take a knee. We've seen it with Odell Beckham. We've seen it with J.J. Watt, among others, David Johnson, and now perhaps the biggest single injury to any team we've seen so far. Conceivably, Aaron Rodgers is out for the year with a broken collarbone.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to see any of the stars get hurt. You especially don't want to see the marquee faces of our league, you know, when they're the quarterbacks. And of course, you can feel it in this stadium. As soon as he went down, what it's done to the Packers team, in addition to all of the other injuries that they have. And, you know, they've got a lot to overcome as you start to look through the remainder of this season. But, you know, this division is up in the air. I mean, a lot of these teams, all of these teams have their own issues that they're having to deal with.
On first down, this is Aaron Jones at a gain of 9. And this was the injury going all the way back to the first quarter. Rodgers had released the ball. It was a hit and a tackle made by Anthony Barr. When Rodgers went down, it's when the right arm, you'll see, comes down, and it's been confirmed he has a broken collarbone, the same injury he had in the 2013 season.
Yeah, and you heard Terry Bradshaw talk about it there during the halftime report, and it doesn't take much. I broke my left collarbone, and sometimes the landings don't look like much, but collarbone can break pretty easily, land on it the wrong way. Packers pretty fortunate right there. The ball bobbled, and they just, you know, you can imagine how the other 10 guys feel, but this is where, you know, somebody has to jump up and make a play, and, you know, right now they're just kind of going through the motions. You don't feel like there's any energy right now out there with this offensive group.
All the injuries they've had along the offensive line, I mean, there are guys mixed and match everywhere. Neither one of their starting tackles are in the game right now, and they've both been injured a lot already this year. Hundley, a strike to Devontae Adams. That'll be a gain of 9. There's even more to talk about, Aaron Andrews.
Yeah, more updates from the Packers left tackle, David Bakhtiari. He is questionable with that hammy. That's something he's been dealing with. And Brian Bulaga is out with a concussion, Tom.
Man, oh man, oh man. So they have McCray at left tackle, Patrick at left guard. Still have Lensley at center, Evans still at right guard, and now Ulrich John, the right tackle. The only 2 guys that were in the starting lineup are Lensley and Jari Evans. That's Linval Joseph.
Well, right now, this Minnesota defense really just teeing off on this offensive group. And like you said, I mean, 3 of the starters today out in the offensive line. And you mentioned Corey Linsley and Jari Evans. The only guys still in. They're the only guys who have played those positions throughout the season. Lane Taylor, of course, is out. He's had to move over the last few weeks. But it's hard to be good offensively with all the changes that have occurred.
3rd down and 2. And a one-handed interception by Harrison Smith. Run out of bounds at the 35-yard line. Daniil Hunter applied the heavy pressure on Hundley.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Hundley ever saw Smith or not. This is a ball you had to kind of lay, but he tried to drive it. Harrison Smith gets on it. Now it's a matter of whether or not he actually secured the catch.
Or did the ball hit the ground right here? Let's keep an eye out on it before he got his hands underneath it. Every turnover is looked at by...
Yeah, there's nothing there that would cause you to overturn it as his body shields the ball on whether or not it was caught. But regardless, that was a pretty impressive play by Harrison Smith, one of the great safeties in our game.
McKinnon trying to cut it back to the inside. You know, Smith's already been to a couple of Pro Bowls each of the last 2 years. He's the only player with at least 14 interceptions and 7 sacks in the NFL the last 4 years.
He's just reading Hundley's eyes, and we'll look at it here. Maybe this is a little bit... Yeah, there's just nothing there in his hands. I think it was probably a clean catch, as best we can tell. His hand and arm look like it's underneath. That's a really good job.
Let's go. Kansas, stand. 547, yeah. 20.
You know, we were visiting with Mike McCarthy yesterday and talking about this Minnesota defense, and he knows all about it. He said, you know, when I look at a defense and I look at all 3 levels, and when I see Pro Bowl players at all 3 levels, and this Minnesota Vikings defense had 5 players go to the Pro Bowl last year, all from the different levels of their defense along the line, their linebacking core, and in the secondary with both Rhodes and Harrison Smith.
Well, you think about it, it's Mike Zimmer's 4th year, and a number of those defensive players have been here the entire time that he's been the head coach. And you know, it's a veteran group within this scheme.
3rd and 10, and Thielen hoping to get that one. Let's send it back to Kurt Menefee for a game break.
Well, the Vikings squeak one out against the Bears on Monday night. Ravens trying to do the same, but this Bears defense is playing strong today. Adrian Amos picks off a deflected pass, and Joe Flacco takes it 90 yards for the pick 6. His first career interception ends up in a touchdown, and the Bears now lead it 24-13. They add the touchdown there. Tom, Troy, and Aaron.
All right, Kurt, thank you. This will be a 53-yard field goal try by Forbath. His season long is 45. He got it all.
The amazing new iPhone 8 is at AT&T, and we know you'll love it.
Because we know you want more.
More great camera features and more power.
And more than just unlimited data, we give you unlimited plans with HBO included for life.
Because you deserve more entertainment. And more spokespeople. Talking like this, saying the word more.
AT&T.
It's time for more. Am I too close? I feel like I'm too close.
Get the iPhone 8, and with all AT&T Unlimited plans, get HBO for life, only from AT&T.
So I got one question for you. Do you believe in you? Because I do. I believe in you so much, I've already booked the tickets all the way to the championship game. Because we're not flying home today.
When your plans change, our fees don't. Behind every story is the reason for transparency.
Kyle, we talked about this.
There's no monsters.
But you said they'd be watching us all the time.
No, honey, we meant that Progressive would be protecting us 24/7.
We just bundled home and auto and saved money. That's nothing to be afraid of.
But...
Good night, Kyle.
I told you I was just checking the wiring in here, Kyle.
He's never like this. I think something's going on at school. He's not engaging.
I would do a spicy chicken nuggets contest.
Burger King Spice Off!
You're the winner.
The king wins when it comes to the new spicy nuggets. Now 10 for just $1.49. Only at Burger King.
Are you sure you're not worried?
There has only been one incident in the last year. We're not even bringing the heavy armor.
Sir, should we get some guys together for a game tonight?
We need immediate evac. Over.
What is your current position?
Unknown, sir.
How the hell are we gonna find him?
Cover your sector! I'm out!
Since taking over in the opening quarter for the injured Aaron Rodgers, Hundley has hit on 7 of 12, a touchdown, his first career, 2 interceptions, and it's been a good day for Keenum. 22 of 35, 244, a touchdown, his first pick of the year. Although I'm sure that Pat Shermer, the offensive coordinator, and Mike Zimmer are saying we'd like a few more touchdowns and field goals. But some of these drives have stalled against a depleted Green Bay secondary by Minnesota on offense. Davis out to the 27-yard line. Troy, I would imagine it's hard to get a read on Hundley here. I mean, we talked about he's already thrown more passes in this game than he had thrown his first 2+ years in the NFL. He had thrown 11, 10 last year, 1 this year. And now it looks like he is going to be the quarterback moving forward for the Green Bay Packers. He comes into a game where they're behind.
Right.
And especially here, they can just kind of come after him.
Well, and he's facing the Minnesota Vikings defense, which is really good, and no running game, and then no offensive line. I mean, he's not really been given much of a shot.
Witkowski out of the backfield, nothing doing.
You know, he'll be better. He'll be better next week because he's going to get to practice throughout the week and get all the reps. And you know, here's the receiving core. That's a pretty good group to start with. You know, but they're talking as they are on the sidelines prior to this drive about, you know, now what? Now what without Aaron Rodgers? And Mike McCarthy, he's thinking the same thing. The whole organization is. And Mike McCarthy's going to have his work cut out for him after this game and then going in on Monday and giving this team a reason to believe. But with all the injuries that they have, they got a lot of other problems besides just not having Aaron Rodgers. You know, there's talk about, okay, well, you know, what do? They go out and they try to sign some veteran guy? Who knows? Maybe they can talk Tony Romo into coming in and playing quarterback for him. But I think that with all the issues they have on both sides of the ball with the injuries, it's not going to matter. I mean, Brett Hundley to me, and I can't imagine Ted Thompson's going to try to make some kind of big move. You know, I'm halfway joking about Romo. I don't think he would come out of the booth to do it, but I think they'll stick with Hundley because of everything else that's happening with this team.
Rolling right and throwing down the field. That was nearly caught by Jordy Nelson. They're saying incomplete. Of course, the other name that always comes up every time there's any opening for a quarterback spot is Colin Kaepernick, and I'm sure that name will be written about in the Green Bay and Milwaukee papers tomorrow as Hundley comes over to the sideline.
Hey, look, I don't know why Colin Kaepernick is not with a team, but you know, everyone has an opinion on it. I tend to say he's not on a team because he can't help a team. And could he help this team? I don't know. Is he going to come in and learn this offense, having not played as many weeks as he's not played, and be better than Brett Hundley? I don't think so.
Fair catch. Minnesota gets the ball. 9:10 left to go, and the Vikings in front 23-10.
Can I cross it off yet?
Almost. And now.
The Volkswagen Atlas with available digital cockpit. Life's as big as you make it.
Know what goes great with steak and shrimp? More shrimp. And you know what goes great with that shrimp? You guessed it, more shrimp. Steak and unlimited shrimp starting at $15.99. Only at Outback.
I'm Ryan, and I quit smoking with Shantix. Everything I did circled around that cigarette. When I started taking the Shantix, that urge just slowly diminished, and it was a great and empowering feeling.
Along with support, Shantix Varenicline is proven to help people quit smoking.
Shantix reduced my urge to smoke.
When you try to quit smoking, with or without Shantix, you may have nicotine withdrawal symptoms. Some people had changes in behavior or thinking, aggression, hostility, agitation, depressed mood, or suicidal thoughts or actions with Shantix. Serious side effects may include seizures, new or worse heart or blood vessel problems, sleepwalking, or allergic and skin reactions, which can be life-threatening. Stop Shantix and get help right away if you have any of these. Tell your healthcare provider if you've had depression or other mental health problems. Decrease alcohol use while taking Shantix. Use caution when driving or operating machinery. The most common side effect is nausea.
I don't even think about cigarettes anymore.
Ask your doctor if Chantix is right for you. Many insurance plans cover Chantix for a low or $0 copay.
Rodgers from the 42 of New York lines it. Rainbows into the end zone. It is caught.
The only time the Packers have not won the division over the last 6 years is when that young man, Teddy Bridgewater, was a Minnesota quarterback in 2015. He took over as a starter about a third of the way through his rookie year. Led him to 11 wins in 15. That's incomplete on first down. And then had the devastating knee injury in a non-contract drill during training camp last year. That's right, last year, 2016. There are some that will tell you, were it not for the medical staff immediately responding to the injury by Bridgewater on that practice field, that he may have lost his leg. Well, here we are, well over a year later. Bridgewater, by all accounts, is knocking on the door of being ready to play football again. He's been practicing, working out anyway, and he's put on the 6-week PUP list. He is eligible to come off this coming Wednesday and start practicing with the team again. Now, Keenum's had a pretty good game here today. You don't know what's going on with Sam Bradford, but there are a lot of people that feel like there's a legitimate chance Teddy Bridgewater is a quarterback for this Vikings team before this year's over.
Well, they'll have 3 weeks once they bring him off the PUP list to decide whether or not to make him or put him on the active roster. I saw him on Friday at practice. He was off to the side working out on his own. I visited with him. He says he feels great.
McKinnon chopped down for a loss. Third down upcoming.
He says he feels great, that he's not limited in any way. He looked good. Watching him do drills and dropping back and scrambling and all those types of things. But doing that in a controlled environment on a practice field is far different than doing it in the National Football League. It will be 20, 21 months or so since he last played in a football game.
Yes.
Forget when the injury occurred. It's been a long time. I know from experience, you don't just step onto the field and play like the Teddy Bridgewater that we had seen prior to the injury, but it's encouraging. The surgery that he had, what he did to that knee, it's pretty remarkable that there's even the discussion that he might be able to come back and play. He tore just about every ligament in the knee.
That punt nearly blocked. Davis from the 35-yard line. He is tackled at the 44, and there's a penalty. Vikings screaming for a block in the back or a hold against Green Bay in the return. I know one thing about Teddy Bridgewater, and you know we haven't had a chance to really visit with him.
During the return, illegal block in the back by the return team, number 25. 10-yard penalty, Green Bay's ball, first down.
We haven't had a chance to be in a meeting with him for a long time, but I don't think there's a more liked or well-respected player on this Viking team than Teddy Bridgewater.
We all depend on trucks. Chevy trucks.
We think it's because Chevrolets are
The most dependable trucks. Built to last a long time. With durability.
and ruggedness.
I like the extra pulling power.
Nasty power.
And quality.
Seems they make them
Strong with extra strong. Mile after mile after mile.
I sold my dream house to buy my first Domino's store.
I built my store with my bare hands.
I used my college savings to buy my store. It means everything to me.
But we've decided to tear them down.
We love what we do, but not where we do it. Come and see our remodeled stores when you carry out large 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 each every day.
Me and the guys walk into this place. Now, you would have thought from the name of it, it's gonna be packed with sailors. So I immediately picked out the biggest guy in there, and I walked straight up to him. Now, he looks me square in the eye, and I swear he says, "Welcome to Navy Federal Credit Union." Whoa, friendly alert. I got a great auto rate out of that guy. You know, now I have a wonderful hybrid, slate blue, cream interior. He was so nice.
Open to the armed forces, the DoD, veterans, and their families. Navy Federal Credit Union.
Abstract accident. Seen it, covered it. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
This is the original light beer. And 40 years later, we still brew it the same way. Because when you get something right, you don't mess with it. Miller Lite. Hold true.
Who will be the new face of Empire? Empire at its new time, Wednesday at 8, only on Fox.
Today's game is sponsored by Chevy. Chevys are J.D. Power Dependability Awards for cars, trucks, and SUVs.
Mike Zimmer, 61 years old, grew up in Rockport, Illinois. Father of 3, his son Adam is his linebackers coach here. Everybody remembers the story where he lost his wife Vicky back in their Ohio home in 2009. His father, he played for him growing up, and lost his dad Bill in 2015. I mean, you know, there's some that have referred to him in the local press as a grumpy guy. I think that you and I both really enjoy our time with Coach Zimmer, and Everson Griffin made the comment, said once you get to know him, he's a lovable guy.
I don't think I've ever, he's not only said he's a lovable guy, he said he's got thin skin. I've never heard those two things said about Mike Zimmer ever, you know, but he is a tough guy, and it's tough love. And, you know, you talk to these players, they do love playing.
Oh, they love it.
They really do.
I mean, there are too many examples of guys where, you know, Zimmer was a defensive coordinator for 14 years. Started in Dallas, got his first shot at it, went to Atlanta, and then a number of years in Cincinnati. And you look around the field, and you start with Terrence Newman, and he's probably the best example of all you need to know about Mike Zimmer. He played for him in Dallas. Zimmer brought him to Cincinnati, and Zimmer brought him with him to Minnesota. And Newman will tell you, this guy went out on a limb for me. I'll do anything in the world he ever asked.
I'll tell you what, the Packers now looking at 4th down, and, you know, time becoming an issue. They haven't done anything to get Hundley really out of the pocket. They haven't done anything to try to take any shots and create plays down the field. It has been really hard sledding for him in the pocket to try to make anything happen. We got Aaron Jones split out here at the bottom.
Packers 5 of 5 on fourth downs this year, but of course that's with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. Well, they're going to convert on a fourth down here. 6 of 6 on the year with Hundley his first try. Big upset in the NFC. Let's go to Carissa Thompson.
Thanks, Tom. Well, the Falcons were down 3 with under a minute to go. Matt Ryan intercepted by Rashad Jones. Dolphins, by the way, were down 17-0 at one point after scoring 20 unanswered points. They win this one on the road. Tom Coyner.
Wow, all of a sudden the Falcons, after the way they looked against this Packer team in the second week of the season, they looked unbeatable. And now very much coming back to earth. That's a good throw there by Hundley. And a first down to the 44-yard line, catch made by Nelson. So now all of a sudden in the NFC South, Carolina at 4-2. The New Orleans Saints are about to go to 3-2. They are clobbering Detroit.
Yeah, Atlanta had a chance to be atop that division by themselves, and crazy lead, losing to Miami.
Hundley gets it away. First chased by Hunter, and then behind him was Griffin.
If they can get a touchdown somehow, they're going to have to start getting the ball down the field a little bit better than they have. But if they can come away with a touchdown with some kind of time left on this clock and then put pressure again back on Minnesota, but they just have not done anything to really threaten Minnesota here in the second half.
He's been hit roughly half the number of times he's dropped back. And he gets hit again. And I mean leveled this time by Tom Johnson.
Tom Johnson, I think, is a heck of a player there in the middle. They got some outstanding edge rushers in Everson Griffin and Danielle Hunter, but in the middle with Linval Joseph and Tom Johnson, that's a formidable front four, as good as anybody's.
And you got a good player, a guy like Robinson backing up on his team now. He's got over 55 career sacks. Third down and 10. All day to throw it this time. And underthrows Devontae Adams. Fourth down.
They get them in long down situations. It's two-man coverage. So they're man everywhere, and then they've got two deep safeties protecting anything down the field. Just has not really been anywhere for Hundley to go with the football.
Well, the Green Bay Packers offense has thrown for a total of 90 yards in this game.
One-on-one, both these spots.
And hit from behind. That's Everson Griffin. He now has a sack in 6 consecutive games.
Mike Zimmer, he didn't want to give one-on-one, so he drops the safeties out. Harrison Smith looked like he was hugging the line of scrimmage. He bails out to double the outside. Man underneath. And Everson Griffin is able to get home once again. He's done it every week this year.
So Griffin has a sack in every game this season. That gives him 7 on the year. You're wondering about the Vikings record held by the great Jim Marshall, who recorded a sack back in 1969 in 8 straight games.
Like 20! What's that?
You know, you mentioned Teddy Bridgewater, Tom, and you know, I think the decision that this organization has to make once they get Teddy Bridgewater back and can evaluate him, kind of who is going to be their quarterback into the future. Is that Sam Bradford, or is it in fact going to be Bridgewater? Of course, we know they gave up a first rounder a year ago to bring Sam Bradford in, but Rick Spielman and Mike Zimmer, they've got some decisions to make, and I don't know which way they'll go. I mean, if Bridgewater's healthy, I think they'll go that route. It's been hard on Sam Bradford as a staff, knowing whether he's going to be available from one week to the next.
Let's go downstairs to Aaron Andrews.
Just to add on the conversation, guys, head coach Mike Zimmer telling us, you know, when Teddy Bridgewater has to go to Dallas tomorrow to check in with the surgeon and get a good report, Coach Zimmer feels he's going to get just that. And he said if he comes back, like you mentioned, Troy, they don't know what they're going to get, but Coach Zimmer saying it's a good problem to have. I did speak with Bridgewater before the game, and he said he feels like tomorrow is going to be like Christmas Day for him, getting the thumbs up from the surgeon.
Hey, you know, speaking of Rick Spielman, by the way, he is, of course, the brother of our colleague and my regular partner on NFL telecasts, and Chris Spielman, the former great linebacker in the NFL with the Detroit Lions. But, you know, Rick Spielman adopted a number of children years ago, and one of those children last night, J.D. Spielman, playing for the University of Nebraska against Ohio State, set an all-time Cornhuskers record with 200 receiving yards in the game. It's an incredible story. Their whole family is an incredible story, and congratulations to the Spielmans and J.D. last night.
Yes, congratulations against that team. That's sure something to be proud of.
Well, the interesting part, he had signed originally to be a lacrosse player to J.D. Spielman at Ohio State. Got a chance to play football in Nebraska, and a huge game last night and a big loss. Well, next week on Fox, legends collide indeed. That was the game plan for Drew Brees against Aaron Rodgers, but of course, all that has changed. It'll still be the Packers and the Saints. And Dak Prescott and the Cowboys go head-to-head with the 49ers. That'll be at 4 Eastern. Check your local listings for the game in your area. So you have the Saints if you're the Packers at home. You get a bye week. You play the Lions at home. You go to Chicago and against a stingy defense, not much offensively, but a good defensive team in Baltimore.
Well, you think about it, Tom, how quickly things change in this league. A week ago, these Green Bay Packers came on the road and won a huge game in Dallas in great fashion. Aaron Rodgers, the way that he played this week, they come into the game first time they have all their offensive players playing in a game. A lot has changed.
It really is amazing.
Here this afternoon.
There's no doubt. And that's where you really feel it for the fan of any team out there. I mean, you don't need to tell these Vikings anything about it. They watch their team the first game of the year look like the best team on the planet. Bradford's throwing for 350, 4 touchdowns. The defense is swarming New Orleans in a dominant effort. And then you're starting the next week in Pittsburgh with a backup quarterback. You get him back for, you know, not even a full half last week against Chicago. Bradford didn't even look like he should have been on the field, although he wanted to be on the field.
Well, you look at Green Bay and, you know, losing Aaron Rodgers, there are a lot of teams in the NFC that, you know, all of a sudden now are certainly contenders or feel they can be.
Randall Cobb to the 32. Well, it's safe to say that Philadelphia has been the most impressive team so far in the NFC. They have the best record. Green Bay with a win today would have had a chance to match them at 5-1 after the Eagles beat the prior once beaten Panthers on Thursday night. 2-minute warning. Vikings about to move into a first place tie atop the NFC North.
Yeah.
A triangle solo? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much money Sam and Joanna saved by switching to Geico. Ow! 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
To our fellow Americans in Puerto Rico, we may be separated by an ocean, but we are united.
Let's welcome these guys to the program.
You make their day, we make it easy as a tap.
Pizza!
Use Visa Checkout to order Papa John's Pizza this NFL season.
Let's go, bud. Right here.
Be awesome to have this guy around all the time. Our third quarter project. What's that?
Here's to the friends you can always count on.
Hyundai presents the better drive of the week. The Packers were down by 3 in the final minute last week when a completion to tight end Martellus Bennett got them into Cowboys territory. Running back Aaron Jones then picked up 15 more yards, which led to Aaron Rodgers' game-winning touchdown pass to receiver Devontae Adams with 11 seconds left. Brought to you by Hyundai, official sponsor of the NFL. Better drives us.
Tomorrow on FS1.
It is gone!
Astros, Yankees, the ALCS, Game 3. Tomorrow on FS1.
Today's game is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
23-10, Vikings in front. 2 minutes left to go, but the story, not only in this game, but around the entire National Football League, is the injury, potentially season-ending injury. And we don't know that for sure. I mean, the healing powers of Aaron Rodgers and suffering a broken collarbone here today. One never knows. I know one thing. They keep going like they're going right now. They got to find a way to keep Hundley healthy before this game's over. And this was the injury back in the opening quarter. Be interesting to hear what Rodgers was very upset about it, was yelling at Anthony Barr as he went off the field. I'm sure believing that Barr could have pulled up and not tackled him at all. There was no penalty. But that doesn't mean that people don't feel like it was sort of playing beyond the echo of the whistle, so to speak. Screen to Jones. 4th down coming up.
Well, let's look at it from Minnesota's perspective. Coming into this game, this clearly was a huge game for them with a healthy Aaron Rodgers in order to be able to win within the division and beat a rival at home. And in the season for them, the way it began, 5 of their first 7 games to be played here at home. This is a stretch then that's really important. They lost to Detroit in week 4 here at home, but defending the home turf. And regardless of Aaron going down or not, this would be a big win for the Minnesota Vikings within the division.
4th down. Catch by Adams. Let's go to Carissa Thompson in Los Angeles.
Thanks, Tom. Well, Tony Gonzalez told us this morning on our pregame show that Adrian Peterson would have a 100-yard game. This helps. The new Arizona Cardinal takes this one in for 27 yards. Of course, coming over from the Saints. Arizona leads early, 7-0. Tom Clarinet.
How about that?
How about that? He's got a little left in the tank. I'll tell you, I'm a little befuddled by what Green Bay's doing. I've seen about all the 5-yard passes I care to see.
One more than that here. And Adams to the 39-yard line, a 1st down, and steps out of bounds. Well, you can see some of the mobility here of Brett Hundley. I mean, he moves around pretty well. Maybe not the fastest guy on the planet, but clearly starting to get a better feel for things and getting away from trouble.
Well, like I said, this experience today, he'll be better next week than he was here. He'll get the work in practice. This staff likes him. I've talked to Mike McCarthy about Brett Hundley. They like him a lot. Of course, you know, they've only really seen him in preseason to evaluate him a little bit differently.
Martellus Bennett to the 35-yard line. It was Bennett who dropped the pass that Aaron Rodgers threw on the play in which he was injured. Bennett didn't know the play. He's standing there looking at the quarterback. An out pattern by Geronimo Allison inside the 20.
Well, there's no question that Ted Thompson is going to have to go out and get a quarterback. And I believe they have one on their practice squad, which certainly helps then because it's someone who knows the offense. But is that going to be what they want? Or do they want to try to to find a veteran guy or make a move. I don't know.
That quarterback is Joe Callahan out of Wesley. And he is currently on the practice squad. But there's no doubt about it. They're going to have to go find somebody to be the primary backup quarterback to Hundley, if indeed he's going to be the starter moving forward.
Yeah, either way. I mean, whatever their thoughts are. I mean, like I said, I don't think they're going to be looking at replacing Hundley with someone who can be the starter here, but they're going to need somebody to back him up.
Third down and 2. Catch made, out of bounds goes Adams to the 12, and a first down. Well, this one not quite over yet. Only 31 seconds left. If they can get into the end zone, and of course you give it the onside kick, stranger things have happened.
Well, things can get pretty tight and interesting in a hurry in this league. I've learned that.
Finally steps up into the pocket and is wrapped up by Joseph and Robinson. Packers will spend a timeout. 26 seconds remain. I'd like to remind you, coming up next, it'll be the State Farm post-game show. The entire crew standing by in Los Angeles, and I'm sure they'll be discussing at length the injury to Aaron Rodgers.
I think everybody across the country is going to learn more about a collarbone than they ever thought they would.
Probably right. Of course, for many old enough, and it wasn't that long ago, only 4 years ago, they had an early master's degree class in that same injury with the same quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, in 2013. That's the last time Rodgers missed any significant amount of time as quarterback for Green Bay. In fact, it was the 7 games in that year that made up 7 of the 9 games they played without him at quarterback since 2008. Oh boy, did Hundley get hit. And he's intercepted. Golly day, how did Hundley get up? I mean, he got run over.
There's Brian Robinson coming around the edge, and he's the one who gets enough, and Linval Joseph finishes him off. Oh, that's kind of been the story for Brett Hundley throughout this game. Brett Robinson is, I think he's a heck of a player too. He was a starter here for the last several years, and then Daniil Hunter took over this year. And we've got some guys who can definitely get after the quarterback, and Mike Zimmer knows how to allow those guys to get to him, along with all the various pressures on third downs. This has been a defensive group under Mike Zimmer that I think has been as good as ever since the late 80s with Keith Millard and Chris Dolman. They've been dominant. There were so many years there with Denny Green where it was all about offense, but this defense shows up week in and week out.
So the Minnesota Vikings get the win. They move into a tie for first with the Green Bay Packers, each at 4-2 atop the NFC North. All right, right now, we're going to send you to Washington, the conclusion of the 49ers and the Redskins.
It's not a great job there. It's going to come out to the 20. Darrell Johnston, Chris Myers, we welcome those of you that watch the Packers and the Vikings. That is C.J. Beathard, third-round draft pick from Iowa, coming off the bench through a touchdown pass moments ago, dueling with Kirk Cousins to rally the 49ers from 17-0. Kyle Shanahan, the former offensive coordinator in Washington,